Hey, what's up, Panther fans? It's Tony Dunn, the professor, bringing you the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast. It's Tuesday night. We're going a little retro, going old school, just Google Hangout. No bells and whistles, no Facebook Live tonight. Storm got a hold of my computer, so now I'm on the old CP, so we're going back to Cali, and I'm doing it with my homeboys, Joe Riolano, Mel Mayock. What's up, fellas?
Guys, what's going on? It is Tuesday night. Feels like a Monday night. Kind of crazy, but hey, it's our night of the week. It's finally Panther season. It's a game week, guys. It's been a long freaking time. Got a lot to
Joe, what's up, brother?
Oh, man, Tony, I'm so happy. It is game week. It was such a long off season. It just seemed that it would never get here. And right now, as we talk, we are on the precipice of greatness. We are on the cusp of another winning season, a playoff season. As we get everything going our way, a division championship season. And I'm ready, boy. I'm ready.
Boy, there's some serious optimism there coming from Joe Riolano. All right, tonight's show, guys, is 53 Men going back to Cali. It's episode 17.31, where we'll discuss the roster cut down, the cold cuts to 53. Right? We go down. We went from 90 to 53 on Friday and Saturday. We'll talk about all the major moves, ranging from I guess the surprise moves of two kickers. What else is there was some interesting Joe Webb, some things like that. But we'll also talk about potentially what the Panthers did to get better in this process. And then at the second half of the show, we got Peter Panacy with NinersNoise.com coming on to help us preview this San Francisco matchup. So with all of that, Joe says he can't hear me, and
I can.
I sure hope that that's Joey. Mel,
I can hear you, brother. I can hear you.
Good. Okay, good. All right. So, guys, you can follow the show using the hashtag C3 on Twitter. The best way to get involved in the chat is to participate in the YouTube chat. If you're listening, what we'd like for you to do is smash that like button. We'd like for you to hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And while you're at it, why don't you just go ahead and share this on social media? We'd really appreciate this, is that if you would share this on Twitter and on Facebook, particularly since we're going Flintstones and I can only do so much tonight with the limited assets.
Just so you know, the folks out in the YouTube chat, which they're already popping out there, they say they can hear you loud and clear, Professor. So
fantastic. All right. So you can reach us at CarolinaCatChronicles@gmail.com. You've got that every week. And also, don't forget, we've got the Cat Calls line open 24/7 for you guys to leave a message for the C3 podcast. And we got a bunch tonight. We got some good ones, so you'll want to hang on. The number is 252-228-5098. That's anytime you just call. It goes straight to voicemail. We play them on the podcast. Really, the best calls get bumped to the top. So, look, I know a lot of people have been participating on that, and we can't wait. We even got people from other countries calling in. So it's going to be fun tonight. That will be towards the end of the show. We'll do the cat calls. So let's just go ahead and jump into this show, Mel. What we had, let's first just talk about this. The Panthers, by Saturday at 4 o'clock, had to cut the roster down to 53 men. Correct. We also have the 10 players on the practice squad. So, Mel, what were your thoughts, I guess, going into this roster cut process, and what did you see that happened that you would like to talk about?
Well, this was the first year that they did it all at one time. Previously it was 2 waves of cuts, which is a little bit more manageable. I mean, you had 1,184 NFL players get cut all in the same day. It was a flood of information going on. But, I wrote an article, put it out there on catchronicles.com that talked about what I was expecting. And I did expect for the Panthers to take Pilardi over Lee, even though I really liked Lee and his story. and what he's done. They went with the younger player, so that we kept him 10 years younger, half the price, better hang time. Makes a lot of sense. Now
That's what the organization tells you. Better hang time. We all saw those punts. Man, Andy Lee can boot it like a million miles. I don't buy that hang time stuff. I got my theory. My theory is this, that they feel more comfortable with the health of Pilardi and the durability. That's all. I don't think there's anything else. You really don't save any money till next year.
Not a lot of money. You're right, but I think the age has a big piece to do with it. I mean, the guy's 10 years
younger. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, but I do think Andy Lee head-to-head is the better punter.
Maybe, but I do like the idea of a left-footed punter. I really do, because that's something that teams don't see every week. So in theory, you're giving them something a little bit different spin, right? And he's a very hey, watch. If the 49ers fumble a punt, I'm calling that number. I'm calling the cat line, and I'm calling you out.
You are. You better.
I'll call you out. But some other things. The hardest part for me, well, two things were really hard. One is I was really pulling for our boy Arma, or my boy. I really want that big stud fullback, something we haven't.
He made it initially.
I know, and that's the hardest part, man. You feel for these guys when they make it. They're celebrating with their family. They're just woo-hooing, and then all of a sudden they get the call and they've been cut. But now he is back on the practice squad, so that's a good thing. But I think the hardest thing for me over the weekend to watch was how Panther Nation just absolutely went from optimistic offseason to, hey, we're back, we're going to be right in the middle of it, to because we let go of Joe Webb and didn't make some other moves. I even saw people said that they were not fans anymore. They were done with the Panthers because of these moves. That was hard for me, man. I had to bite my tongue.
People be up in their feelings, man. I was up in my feelings. I'm still up in my feelings, and we did make some mistakes. But we'll talk about that. All right, so Joe Webb finally cut. Garrett Gilbert cut, and then we bring in some Kaye, some dude that nobody cares about.
Yippee Kaye, right?
All right, here's what makes me mad about this. I don't got a problem with the Joe Webb cut. I say this is finally fine. I've been calling for this for now. I mean, I would have been. You had to cut somebody. It's time to poop or get off the pot, in my opinion.
Right.
And that when you run, and I have said this, is either Joe Webb is good in the past. You guys have argued that he's the Swiss Army knife. He does all these different things. So true, great guy, all of this, but at the same time, like, he does all of these things okay, nothing great. So let's go and get some guys that can do something. If you really don't need him as a receiver, he's like, yes, he can technically be one. You don't want him to be that. Is that he does make specialty. He can return kicks, but you don't want him to be the answer there. So I'm totally fine with the Joe Webb release. Now, I do think there is some argument like, hey, could he be better than Derek Anderson? And I think you convinced me last week, Mel, with this, is that no, but Derek Anderson may be a better run the team better.
Yeah, he not necessarily game plan.
Play better.
Right now, and Frank Garcia on WFNZ had a great point today, which really echoed that sentiment that I made last week. And what he said is, Derek's probably lost a step athletically. And when you go out there with the best athletes in the world and you're just playing ball and you're not scheming, you're not working a game plan, you're going to look pretty bad. But that doesn't mean that you can't still play within your experience and within the game plan and working an offense, which is what the Panthers know Anderson can do. So that's why they kept him over Webb.
And, Joe, do we got you back up in here?
We do.
All right. And then the other thing you pointed out, Joe, what happened in that Steelers game that may have contributed to some of this?
I'm sorry, I lost you there for part of the segment.
What?
In fact, I've lost you again right now. My screen's completely frozen.
Well, what he was saying, Joe, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right.
My internet is acting up. I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, what the professor was asking, Tony, you're back, right? I mean, he was asking what was going on in that Steelers game that you think made a difference in these cuts when it came to Joe Webb.
Well, he made some mental mistakes. I don't remember exactly.
Well, I remember the scenes when Ron Rivera was yelling at him on the sidelines. He was going, "Come on, Joe," because he wasn't getting them when they took a delay of game penalty. He wasn't getting them out of the huddle quick enough, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
and the other thing too is we come out and we had a timeout to use, and we could have gone down there and trotted out Butker for a field goal and got one more playoff. But they didn't call the timeout. They didn't spike the ball. There was poor clock management in that last series in the second half, which cost us the opportunity to put our field goal kickers in a really tough spot in a good way.
For me, it was a big difference from the game before, when Joe Webb had come in. He really looked like he was in control of the offense in the previous games when he was playing. Whereas in the Steelers game, he really looked like he didn't know what he was doing. Didn't look like he was in charge of the offense, and that's what you need in your quarterback, whether he's first string or third string.
But, luckily for him,
he looked particularly well in that Steelers game, to be honest.
I agree. But luckily for Joe Webb, he did sign with the Panthers. It just happened to be the Buffalo Panthers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Panthers North here. Yeah. Let's get back to the cuts, though. But I think I think Joe Webb was probably a gunner. You know what I'm upset about is Garrett Gilbert. I thought, you want to talk about a developmental quarterback, I think that's the guy. I thought that guy played great.
Well, we did keep him, so he's still with the team.
We did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He did because we brought the Kaye guy in. I thought that would have been a replacement. No, okay, so how about this? My boy made it. Cameron Artis-Payne.
Yes, sir.
And Demir Bird. My two guys made it. And how about this? Is that Bill Voth on Grill Bill today or yesterday, I think it was today, wrote everybody wrote off Cameron Artis-Payne but he really showed and had a great turn. No, Cameron Artis-Payne did exactly what he does every damn year, and y'all you know what? Don't give him no credit. This guy been on that train.
You've been on the train
from
since
the beginning.
Day one. I'll give you that, Professor.
Yeah. So he looked great. He makes a great open space move. One cut in the middle of the field.
He's got that little side hop. He'll hit that hole in that one little side hop, make that linebacker miss, and then he, boom, takes off.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's going pretty fast for a big boy to make that move. So I think
training camp MVP.
Yeah. You know what? He's going to go a whole nother damn season and not get a hat any Sunday.
Now, let me ask you this. If we got phone calls for trading a running back because we're so deep there for secondary help, it would be tough to let him go.
Wow. Good call.
What's that?
He could be trade bait.
Who, Cap?
Yeah. We're so deep in the running back.
Here's what's going on in the chat room. J-Dub said, just say it. And Relly Rel brought this up. And Cap did say this. This is awesome. Is before the 53-man cuts, the question was posed to him whether he thinks how he felt about all this. He said, I'm going to get paid somewhere.
Who said that?
Cameron Artis-Payne said that.
Yeah, it's a fact.
I tell you what, I told a couple of people I was watching the game with, the Steelers game, I'm like, he has played so well, they can't cut him. They can't. They would look absolutely foolish. They could trade him, but they can't cut him. He looked explosive. I mean, he looked as good as Jonathan Stewart.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, Jonathan Stewart had a comeback game in the third game, but Demir Bird made it again, caught a touchdown in that game. I think propelled him. He's earned his spot. I don't care what anybody says about that. Mm-hmm. What we got is that we kept 3 tight ends. We went Greg Olsen, Ed Dixon, Chris Manhertz. I don't think there's any big surprises there. Scott Simonson was put on the IR.
Manhertz looked good in those last couple games. He really did. Some nice seal blocks to spring McCaffrey in that Jacksonville game. Andy caught the ball well, so that's a good find.
Yeah. Speaking of let's talk about some other guys that look good on the offense. Let's go to the offensive line. Two players that have stood out to me. One is I think Tyler Lawson has played phenomenally in the absence of Ryan Khalil. Feel really good about him, but Greg Van Roten made the team after like playing 100% of the snaps in that Pittsburgh game.
Yeah. Is he playing tackle?
Center. Both centers. We have 3 centers. We're
to go with our 2 kickers.
Yeah. But I do think that Roten and Roten has a little more versatility to play guard.
Yeah, he can play both guard spots.
So he's not essentially just locked in to that completely.
Yes, we have 3 centers and a long snapper, don't we?
Yes.
So we have 4 centers. Okay.
That's better than a short snapper.
Yeah. Like the ECU snapper.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
God. All right. So I think Chris Scott got cut. He was hurt. David Yankee's on IR. A lot of dudes placed on IR. I wonder what the rules, and I know people have been talking about this, but as long as they're designated to return, like you can put more people on IR than you have in the past, I think. Eric Kroom didn't make the team. Not enough room there.
He's back on the practice squad, though. He is on the practice.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Butler, Starr, Love. Kyle Love made it as a reserve. And then here, linebackers. You see Zeke Bigger, ECU Pirate. Got a lot of love from the coaching staff. Is just playing really well in that last preseason game. The guy they liked a lot, But crowded linebacker room. Kept the same 7 from last year, except for Jared Norris wasn't on the.
He was there last year. Yeah.
So what we have is now it's Davis, Kuechly, Mayo, Thompson, Jacobs, Cash, and Jared Norris.
Good Lord.
So big, crowded room there. But here, let's get to the last part of the roster.
And let's face it, though, Norris is a special teams guy. He's not going to start the field linebacker.
Well, most of those guys at the back end of that group are play special teams. Yeah, most of those guys do contribute mostly on special teams.
Right, they have to.
All right, so Keith says this: no need to DTR IR designees anymore. Can activate any 2 after their respective 8 weeks, so long as they were on the official 53-day one prior to IR. Okay, still confusing to me. Now let's get back. Now let's get to the hot topic. We suffered some injuries in that final preseason game. You saw Zach Sanchez, who some people thought had played his way onto the team.
He was looking pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Teddy Williams suffered an injury, who was really on this team. I mean, for a special teams value, hard-working player. Coaching, I think he's well liked.
That was tough to see him go down. I like him.
Yeah, it was.
And then you also get Corn Elder continued to be plagued by injuries, also put on IR, and essentially had to be released, I think, right?
Or he moved to he's on IR.
He didn't make the 53.
He's done for the year, I think, isn't he?
What's the latest, guys, in the chat room on Corn Elder?
Well, he's on IR, so he'll be back next year for us, but he's done for the year.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought. I thought he was out for the remainder of this season.
Yeah.
But then you had Desmond Southward, safety, go down. LJ McCray go down.
They go down or get cut?
Which leaves us to this, is that the Panthers ended up keeping these guys: James Bradbury, Cole Luke, Captain Munnerlyn, Daryl Worley. They put Corn on IR. They kept 3 safeties: Mike Adams, Kirk Coleman, Colin Jones. And then in the last moment, we traded for a safety and a cornerback, one being Demetrius. Devon?
Demetrius.
They pronounce it funny. Devon Samuel?
Oh, Kevon Seymour.
Kevon. I pronounce it funny.
Yeah. Kevon Seymour from the Bills.
That's right.
Yeah, in the trade, right? So we trade Clay and a 7th-round pick, which Clay played a good game there, but he's just too similar to Samuels and Bird. So when I saw him on there, I was a little surprised, but that was a pretty good move there by Hurney, sending him up and getting a guy who actually started 3 games for the Bills last year and played some pretty good ball there. He's got some upside.
J-Dub said Buffalo Panther fans are pissed. Kevon, and the other guy was who was the dude from? Where did he come from? Cincinnati?
Yeah, Demetrius Cox.
Is he a corner as well, or is he because
he's a safety? He's a safety.
Okay, I thought he was a safety.
Yeah.
All right, so now that brings us to this, what we're going to spend the next 8 minutes arguing about. No surprise, no panic. All right, so everybody goes, "Oh, you guys are panicking." Like everybody who I hate these people on. Well, I don't hate anybody. I get annoyed when people always like turn their nose up to you on Twitter and they're like, "Don't panic. These people wouldn't. You're panicking over Zach Sanchez. Don't worry, they would not have made the roster." You know what I'm saying to this though? Is this we ain't got no bodies back there, right? These guys go down, and we ain't got no bodies, so we didn't have depth with those dudes. This was a concern that I've been talking about, safety and corner, the entire offseason. Now, we made some great moves in bringing in Captain Munnerlyn. I cannot tell you, if we didn't have Captain Munnerlyn on this team, we would be screwed in the secondary. Mm-hmm. But it's not about the actual loss of the specific players. Is right now there's not a lot of game plan in case something goes wrong, i.e. Colin Jones. He is our reserve safety. So some things have happened since our last show. We were talking about potentially Joe Hayden as a corner who signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers in a matter of like 8 hours, right? And then another one who a lot of people were really warm on. A lot of people on this show, I would say, in our fan base and everything, were really interested in the idea of TJ Ward when we were talking about trade. But then he gets cut. Then the Panthers don't get him. He signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for $3.8 million.
But, Professor, let me ask you, though, if you go back and you watched the show last week, P. Nasty brought up TJ Ward on a cat call. And you pretty quickly dismissed that, saying, hey, he's not going to start. I'm pretty good with Mike Adams. And then we moved on.
I never said he wouldn't start. If he came here, he would be the starter.
He would not. He would not.
Yes, he would. All right. Okay. Let's go to the man himself then. Let's ask old Marty Hurney.
Well, I think the thought process, Chris, a couple is in there, two separate circumstances with Joe Hayden and TJ Ward. But I think when we went through and to start, we really liked these two players that we picked up. We liked Demetrius Cox and we liked Kevon Seymour. Kevon brings speed to us that not only at the corner spot, he can play outside, he can play inside, and he plays special teams. So his versatility, and it was a guy that started 3 games last year and did play for Buffalo, I think in 15 or 16. So he's got some experience and he's got upside. With Demetrius Cox, we were looking for a fourth safety, basically. We have a lot of confidence in Colin Jones back there to come in as a reserve, and we liked him some in college, but we really liked him this preseason. So, you're talking about Joe Hayden. You have to look at the salary implication. I mean, he signed 3 years for $27 million at $9 million a year. Are you looking for that, or were we looking? We were basically looking for a corner that could back up nickel and could back up the outside corner. So I think that Seymour was a better fit there. And then at the safety position, you're looking for a third or fourth. And if you get a guy like TJ Ward that comes in, now what do? Does he come in and start immediately over one of the two guys that you have as starters? So I think it has a lot to do with role and what you're looking for, what kind of roles you're looking for the players you're bringing in.
So look, Marty Hurney just said that he would have started. That was his way. That's exactly what he said. That was his way of saying this. The other thing is, I lost a lot of faith in Marty Hurney in this one call, because what he did is he said he gave you the full number of what Joe Hayden's contract was, which is 3 years, $27 million. It's a 1 year. Jason Lockenfor called into WFNZ the day after, like 2 days ago. It's a 1 year, $7 million deal that they can get out of with no penalty after that. So that is just him trying to make it sound like, oh, I got the cap in mind. But TJ Ward he signed for $3.5 million. He would be an upgrade over Mike Adams right away.
No, he would not.
How do you know? He's 30 years old, and Mike Adams has never been one of the top 5 safeties in the entire league. TJ Ward has.
I know you're not a huge believer in Pro Football Focus, but I am. Last year, TJ Ward ranked his score was a 57.9, which was the 48th ranked safety in the league. 48th. And Mike Adams was ranked at 82.3, much higher. Much higher. So you cannot tell me TJ Ward was stepping in here, not even knowing the defense, being in a different scheme, ranked lower last year, and he was going to come in here and start. What Marty was saying is you're going to pay starters money for somebody who's going to come in here is not
starter money. $3.5 million is what we gave. We just gave.
What did Flowers get in Kansas City? He's a starter.
He signed for 3.5 with the San Diego Chargers after he was cut.
Okay.
After he was cut. And it would offset, only that money only offsets his contract. So whatever is left over. And then don't give me this crap that he can't learn the system.
But he's the 48th safety last year, and he got injured.
What was Kirk Coleman's ranking last year?
Kirk Coleman's a free safety. Doesn't matter.
He played strong last year.
Well, he's a free safety.
He played strong last year. You tell me what his ranking was in 2015 and then 2016. I bet you this. Go back and look at TJ Ward's ranking in 2015. Don't be a prisoner of the moment. Don't be a prisoner of the stats, Mel.
Don't worry about what somebody did last year and the fact that they pulled their hamstring on August 5th of this year. Don't worry about any of that.
All we do is excuse it when it's our guys. We excuse it for Cam. We excuse it for Matt Khalil.
Bottom line for me, and yes, I wanted TJ Ward. I was like, that would be a good addition because we do need depth there. But I trust our scouts more than that. Here's a guy who's
all right. Here's the last contact. But this is what I don't like about this is that we didn't try to get better, guys. We stuck with what we had, and that's what we did last year. We said, oh, we don't want to ruin chemistry. Oh, we don't want to do this. No, these guys here, this is him. This is Marty Hurney one more time.
Well, when you say explore, it depends what you mean. I mean, did we talk to the agents and pursue it with those players? No, we did not. But you go through the thought process and, you have a really good idea what Joe Hayden is looking for, and you have a really good idea what role TJ Ward is looking for. So, but we did not take it. We never had contact with either one of them. No.
Didn't try to get better. That's what they said. They said, we believe what we got is good enough. And if you're not trying to get better, you're not getting better.
Wait a minute. I got to say, people bashed Marty Hurney for chasing the quick fix and throwing money at situations and putting us in cap hell. And as soon as he's being analytical and saying Ward is wanting a role that is not what we're looking for on our team and let's save the money, he gets bashed for that. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I'm saying you damned if you don't because he didn't.
But he did.
Right.
He brought
Let's bring in. We'll come back to this Ward discussion because I'm fired up about it.
Yeah, you got a right to be wrong.
Go back on my timeline, check out my Periscope when I was really in my feelings. But right now we're bringing on Peter Panacy with NinersNoise.com and every other possible sports website you could find on his Twitter handle. Pete, welcome back to the C3 podcast.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
All right, so we brought you on because the Panthers have to go. We're going back to Cali. Last time we were there, we were losing the Super Bowl, but this time we get to go and play your San Francisco 49ers. Tell us, I guess we talked to you last around the time of the draft. Where's your team at now since you've been through training camp, and just kind of give us a little overview of how you feel going into week one?
Well, for the most part, healthy. I think that's a key part. And I also think when you consider how bad the 49ers were a year ago when last season wrapped up, well over 50% of the roster has been turned over. I think it's actually close to 2/3 of the roster from last year has been turned over. So it's going to be a lot of new faces. For the most part, the big names have stayed healthy. Linebacker Malcolm Smith was lost for the season to a pectoral injury, but that also opened up the door for Reuben Foster to assume a starting role. And I'm excited to see him. I was excited about him before the draft.
He's a player, man.
You may very well remember. But yeah, I'm confident with 49ers front seven this year. I think that's going to be probably one of the most improved units in the NFL. I think the offense outside of the offensive line is going to be much more effective. And I'm excited to see how head coach Kyle Shanahan's going to scheme. That's what he does. He schemes really, really well. So it's a long process, but I think compared to a year ago at this time, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about San Francisco.
So tell us, Reuben Foster, boy, he's really flashed in camp, hasn't he?
He has, and there's a little bit of concern with him in that shoulder. Seems to be fine. That's probably the only major concern, but he's been fun to watch during training camp film, the preseason. A guy that just has a nose for the football. A lot of people were comparing him to Patrick Willis and Luke Kuechly, and you can kind of see that. Yeah. Sideline to sideline, great converging skills, and you love his personality. You watch about all the his interviews and whatnot that take place, and he's just kind of got the best upbeat attitude about everything, and he's a guy that I think will definitely become a household name if he's not already by the end of the year.
Do you think Navarro Bowman has had a good influence on him as in a way, not like as in he needed a good influence, but, it's really nice to come and study under somebody who's great themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a reason why too. A couple of reasons, but you keep Navarro Bowman as the Mike linebacker. And so he's still the captain of the defense. He knows it. Reuben Foster knows it. And, the Will, you're kind of the playmaking linebacker, the guy that's going to get a lot of the highlight tackles and what have you. But there's a little bit less to it than what your responsibilities would be at Mike. So I think you recall Reuben Foster wanted to be the next Patrick Willis. Well, Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis are obviously still very close now. So it's a good guy to have as far as a mentor is concerned, and to learn from Navarro Bowman, who's still probably one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. You definitely have worse situations out there than that.
Yeah. All right. So tell us, where's the offense at right now?
The offense it's a little interesting. I think we saw some flashes of the passing game in week 3 of the preseason over the first quarter or so against Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. The 49ers tore through a pretty tough Vikings defense during that first quarter when they kind of thought it was about as close to a regular season game as you can get. It's left off a little bit in the second half, and then, of course, you get after halftime, and who are you watching? Offensively, I'm a little concerned about the offensive line. It's a unit that's, hasn't been very good for the past few years. Last year, it was, I think, 30th in pass protection and dead last in run support, according to Football Outsiders. I remember that stat. And there really haven't been too many upgrades to the offensive line. So it could be a unit that struggles this year. And if you think it all starts up front, well, it probably does. Two of the bigger receiving threats, Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin, I think are going to be pretty effective this year, especially Marquise Goodwin. He's the speed element. But a guy that I'm going to keep an eye on in the receiving game is Trent Taylor, who led all of college football last year, and in receiving yards, he was fun to watch there down in Louisiana. But he's your slot type, and I think you're going to see him used a lot to get open, and someone who's going to be fun to watch. Don't know what to make out of the running game though. That's going to be a challenge.
Is Hyde fully healthy? I mean, he's a player.
Yeah, every indication that he's looked really, really healthy this season. He lost a lot of weight coming into camp. We haven't seen too much of him this preseason. I think there's a reason for that. I think the 49ers wanted to keep him healthy. But there's a guy who's behind him, Matt Breida, undrafted free agent, who really turned heads during training camp and performed pretty well during the preseason. He actually overtook Joe Williams, fourth-round draft pick out of Utah, on the depth chart. So keep an eye on Breida. Just, if Carlos Hyde goes down, I think Matt Breida is a guy that could actually wind up doing quite a bit for San Francisco.
Well, I'd like to hear your take. The little bit that I watched the 49ers in the preseason that impressed me was Hoyer. I mean, he just seemed to be a solid, no mistakes, no frills game manager that is tough to beat, right? I mean, he looks like he's not going to cost you a game. He may not win you the game, but he's not going to lose you the game. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that was kind of, I would put Brian Hoyer into that category. A guy that is not going to, you're not going to have him put the offense on his shoulders, and he's going to come from behind 2 scores down in the fourth quarter.
He's not going to throw 400 yards more than likely.
Yeah, he's not going to do that. But at the same time, you look at where he's been. I think as a starter, he has an above 500 record. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I think the past 2 years he's thrown at a passer rating, I want to say around 90 plus past 2 seasons, and the time that he worked under head coach Kyle Shanahan, when Shanahan was the offensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns, 2014. I want to say Hoyer led the league in yards per reception. And so the ability to succeed is there. Obviously, he's not going to be a dynamic playmaker, but for someone to effectively run an offense, it's hopefully going to be enough to at least keep San Francisco afloat and doing okay.
I think what he's going to do that's going to be tough for the Panthers to handle is he gets rid of the ball quickly, right? I mean, when we got Julius Peppers and Mario Addison coming in, that's always been our kryptonite, is when you got a quarterback that can get rid of that ball real quick and get it out into the flat or wherever, that kind of takes away the teeth of our defense. So, I mean, that's something I think Hoyer we got to look out for.
Yeah, and the part that's going to be interesting as far as a pass rush is concerned, the 49ers offensive line, if there's one thing that they did seem to improve on, was effective pass blocking. That's been considerably better, at least through the preseason. But yeah, Hoyer has a pretty quick release. It's not one of these big windups with a lot of torque behind it. His accuracy, his touch is questionable at times. There's some moments when Hoyer kind of mails it in a little bit, but if the pressure doesn't get there, then yeah, he can be effective, and especially as you kind of open up some of the intermediate deep routes, the 49ers had kind of somewhat showed their hands a little bit during the preseason, and then that might be an area to exploit if I'm San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of like a bad Matt Schaub. And what I mean by that is, and that's not bad. That wasn't a lesser Matt Schaub. And I think of Matt Schaub as a good quarterback. I know everybody remembers when he went to Houston and had struggles, but when he left Atlanta and his first year in Houston, he was a pretty good quarterback. So now Hoyer, that's the thing, is that he will throw 7 or 8 passes that look fine, and then he'll throw one that's like 20 feet behind the dude. Mm-hmm. So how does Shanahan, how is that relationship there? Because it seems like Shanahan is he buying in too much to his quarterback guru hype?
I think as far as, Kyle Shanahan's offense is one of the most complex in the NFL. When you saw the 49ers this offseason bring in free agents, especially on the offensive side of the ball, so much of it was guys who had played under Kyle Shanahan before. Brian Hoyer, Pierre Garcon, Logan Paulson, the tight end, even Tim Hightower, who didn't make the squad, but had served as a running back before. So guys who understood the scheme, Aldrick Robinson. I think the 49ers deep down, I don't think they would ever say it, but I think they know who Hoyer is, and they also know who he isn't. And I think it'd be foolish to think that they would openly come out and continue to push Brian Hoyer as the long-term option. So, I mean, I think that's why you see the 49ers reach a little bit for C.J. Beathard in round 3 during the draft. We'll see what happens there. But I think they know fully well that this isn't going to be a temporary fix, nothing long-term.
So J-Dub in the YouTube chat says that C.J. Beathard is better than Hoyer right now.
I wouldn't say long-term. Or I'm sorry,
I wouldn't say right now. I said right now, but he just said better than Hoyer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say right now. I'd say the first 2 preseason games, Beathard looked pretty good. Of course, then again, you're going up against second and third stringers. Week 3 of the preseason, he looked like a rookie, overthrowing passes. I think the biggest toss that Beathard had was I can't remember the yards. It might have been even like a 92-yard screen pass that happened to go for a touchdown. And I was like, okay, there's your inflated stats for you. And then in week 4 of the preseason, when nobody's starting on defense, he still struggled a lot. And I think the only memorable play is a long scramble for a touchdown. But he's raw. I think there's a decent amount of potential there. But, it's hard to read what Beathard is going to be in this league. I mean, most people projected him as a 6th or 7th round pick. So, I think if you want experience and cool-headedness under pressure, both guys can do it. I think if you want skills, Hoyer's a little bit of a safer bet.
So our folks in the YouTube chat want to know if you think that Brian Hoyer is better than Colin Kaepernick.
Well, that's a tough one.
Will you take a knee on it?
Yeah, I think I think probably the best way I'd look at it is, I think Colin Kaepernick could definitely win you more games than Brian Hoyer could. He's the reason why the 49ers won a game last year at the very tail end of the season against the Rams. Nobody else on offense was contributing. The Rams have a pretty good defense too. Colin Kaepernick didn't make too many mistakes last year, but he also shut down in the second half of games. So I don't know. You can get into the whole scheme fit. I think that Shanahan would have to dumb down his offense a little bit. Colin Kaepernick has never been a really good, guy at reading defenses thoroughly. I'm not saying that he can't do it at all. But I think in terms of what Kyle Shanahan wanted, as far as the scheme's concerned, Hoyer's a little bit a better option in that case. It's a better fit as opposed to a better quarterback overall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is there not any – I would think that, once you parted ways with him, that would be gone, to me, I think that, all right, that Colin Kaepernick's in the – that's the one team I'm okay with him being in the rear view. You know what I'm saying? Just because, you've decided to turn the page. Maybe it was right, wrong, who knows. But we do have some questions about this. How is Solomon Thomas doing in that defense?
He's a stud, man.
Yeah, he's going to be really good. He's going to be fun to watch. He's behind. So that rule.
Why is that? Tell us why he's behind.
College. He
same thing as McCaffrey. He went to the same college.
Oh, he got McCaffrey. You know what? But McCaffrey's ahead of everybody. So what's going on?
I think it's just it's just snaps. Yeah, so it's just snaps. It's time on the field. It's snaps and it's experience. And
did he make any plays in the preseason?
Yeah. He played a lot in the preseason. I think in week 2 of the preseason, he was playing into the fourth quarter, and you usually don't see that from first-round draft picks unless it's like a quarterback just getting some field time. But he was playing.
How about Eric?
An extensive amount.
How about Armstead? Does he look like he's taking a step forward? That's a big
Yeah,
man.
he has. Last year, he was nicked up a little bit with a shoulder injury, cost him to miss half the year. 49ers are putting him in a new role, so almost an exclusive edge rusher, what defensive coordinator Robert Saleh calls the Leo, which is essentially a 4-3 right defensive end on the right side of the line, and it's kind of reserved for your premier pass rusher. And the one thing that was going to be my question mark with Armstead going into the season was whether or not he's going to be able to set the edge against the run. Looked like he's able to do that from the limited amount of snaps he saw against the run this preseason. But yeah, I think as long as he stays healthy and allows the rest of the defensive line, which is pretty deep now. I mean, you're talking 3 consecutive first-round picks.
You still had DeForest Buckner there, right?
Yeah. So, and he's there. He's looking very, very solid. Armstead from the year before, and now Solomon Thomas. That's a deep D line, and 49ers had to get rid of some pretty good players during roster cuts just to make some room. So that's how you can tell that's a pretty good unit.
Any safeties or cornerbacks that we should know about? We could use a couple. Any TJ?
You want my matchup concerns for the Panthers right here. So safety Eric Reed, they moved him down to strong safety. He's been a natural fit for that position, so he's going to be playing up in the box. Jimmy Ward's been banged up through the preseason, and you haven't seen too much of him, but he played free safety in college. It's a cover 3 scheme, so he's going to be a single high back. Cornerback I'm nervous about. Rashard Robinson, who had a really good rookie year last season, he's looked rusty I won't say rusty, but he's looked a little shaky, and there's not a lot of depth behind him. So I'm thinking, okay, what happens with Kelvin Benjamin this upcoming game?
All right, let me bump into there real quick because we do have a question in the YouTube chat that was about the Panthers wide receivers, and the question from Carolina Man is, does KB have a bounce back year? And also, how does this affect, what do you see our wide receiver group looking like? Now, guys, I'm going to pose this to Aaron and Joe as well as to you, Pete. But, Kelvin Benjamin has come back with a fury since being fat shamed. Even though his mother passed away, he's looked really good. He looks like the leader of that offense in that group. How do you think Kelvin Benjamin and this receiver group go up against you, Pete? And then after Pete, Joe and Mel jump in there and tell Carolina Man if KB's having that bounce back year.
Well, I think a lot of it's going to be as far as Benjamin's going to go up against probably Rashard Robinson, your number 1 on your number 1. Height advantage, obviously, to Kelvin. I think for the big problem is obviously going to be the jamming at the line, which is something Robinson didn't necessarily do too much.
Do you guys play man-to-man or zone?
A lot of man-to-man, a lot of single man-on-man coverage. So you have a single high safety who's going to be kind of patrolling your back level. I think they would shade that coverage over to Benjamin's side of the field. But at the same time, those one-on-one matchups, if you don't jam a receiver at the line, you're going to run into trouble. And Rashard Robinson, if you watch some of the tape, he didn't do a very good job of that this season. So that could be a problem. But, that gets back to the old cliche, all starting up front. If 49ers front 7 can be aggressive enough and either throw Cam Newton off timing-wise or at least make him uncomfortable in the pocket to, cut down on passing lanes, get arms up. You have some very tall defensive linemen. Maybe that makes the difference. But that's a weak spot for the 49ers right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jump in there, guys, real quick. Kelvin Benjamin, does he have a bounce back year?
I'm expecting him to. I think he's motivated. He really wants to show the fans what he can do. He wants to get ready to earn that next big contract. So I think this is the year you're going to see him really show out. I'm expecting a huge year from him this year.
I really am too, for 2 reasons. One, this whole focus about dedicating things to his mother, I think that is understated. I think that means a lot to this young man, and I think he is focused on every single play, and that's something we didn't see a whole lot last year. He looked lackadaisical and unfocused. I think he's come back and he's focused, and I think another big thing as to why I think he has a bounce-back year is Christian McCaffrey. I think defenses are going to have to look at McCaffrey, and that safety is going to be a little bit more hesitant to shade over to Kelvin Benjamin when you've got McCaffrey coming out into the flat as the hot read, because if they're not keeping an eye on him, they're going to get toasted there. So I think that's really going to help both Greg Olsen and Kelvin Benjamin.
All right, next two questions for Pete. Number one, this is a great question by Shaked. Are there any injury concerns for the San Francisco 49ers heading into this game that are on your mind?
Not too many. The only one that really is Jimmy Ward, free safety I was just mentioning. He's been out with a hamstring injury. But 49ers have been playing this guy named Lorenzo Jerome in his place, another undrafted free agent who is kind of a shock to make the roster, but he was a pretty highly touted undrafted free agent. So I'm not overly worried about that. Joe Staley, left tackle, has had a little bit of a knee issue, but probably nothing to worry about too much. As far as that, most of the crop of players, both sides of the ball, are fairly healthy at this point. The injury report hasn't been too substantial.
So I got to ask you, what's your plans with Ben Boulware?
You know what? They're waterboarding him right now.
Yeah. That side, defending against this side of the ball has actually been considerably better than it was last season. I mean, you look back at the 49ers defense last year, and it was a wet paper bag. So I think that's going to be as long as it's not allowed into the second.
Coughing up all our secrets, man. That's what he's doing. He's coughing up all our secrets.
Yeah,
he's just out there just a chatting. He's a rat.
He's telling them how we're going to use Christian McCaffrey.
He's giving away our game plan.
Yeah. Good news. Good news. He doesn't have Christian McCaffrey's playbook. If you've looked at Twitter today.
That's right.
Hey, Pete, I have a question for you. It's not player related, but it's a very small sample size. But how pleased are you with the job Lynch has done since he's come in and taken over?
Oh, got to be happy as can be.
Yeah. Look at round 1 of the NFL draft, and that's all you need to know. All right, we have the number 2 pick. We're not going to grab a quarterback. Hey, Bears, what are you doing? You want to trade up with us? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Thanks. We're going to take the guy that we wanted. And
that was the greatest deal ever right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, we're going to use one of those picks that we picked up from you to move up to grab Reuben Foster at 31.
He should have been top 10.
Yeah. And thanks. We just got 2 all-pro potential players in one round just by one simple move.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, aside from the trade, you're pleased with everything else he's done as far as bringing in, free agents, those guys that, aren't the ones you draft, but the ones that will fill out the rest of your roster and that kind of thing.
Yeah, 2 points on that. So one thing the 49ers did a lot this offseason that I really liked was they didn't go out and try to sign the biggest free agents, the best free agents, the high-profile guys per se. A lot of it was kind of your blue-chip players. Hey, let's bring in guys that are an improvement over what was here before. And so you see guys, I mean, a lot of people are saying, 49ers should target Deshaun Jackson. Okay, well, go after the number 2 there, Pierre Garçon, who's probably a better fit. And that was smart. That was very smart to make broad improvements over a grand scale. The other thing, though, that I think a lot of 49er fans like is for years we were dealing with Trent Baalke, who was very behind the scenes, not in the public eye. A guy that if you read the reports seemed kind of shadowy, made a lot of enemies within the building. And John Lynch is the opposite of that. He's very upfront. He's in the media because that's what he used to do. So he's become a face of the organization that I think the 49ers have lacked for some time now, at least since the Jim Harbaugh years. And I think it's refreshing. And it's really actually kind of fun to see because, John Lynch knows what he's doing in front of a camera, and he's backing up with the right moves to, get this rebuild off to the right start.
All right. I know you got to get out of here. So tell us this is what do you expect out of this game? What do you foresee happening on Sunday?
Well, of course, the heart wants to go 49ers win. And the only way I can justify that aside from saying, okay, 49ers front seven is going to be good. You might get some explosiveness out of the 49ers passing game that you haven't seen in a long time. And, of course, the heart says you never know what happens in week one because week one can be weird. The 49ers shut out the Rams in week one last year, and then look what happened. So, but the gut's got to go Panthers. I just think that there's way too much talent for the 49ers to overcome on both sides of the ball. I think that this game's going to be way much more competitive than it was last year when these two teams squared off. And that's fine. I think for the 49ers, that's what you're looking for, just more improvement. And I was talking with some other friends of mine out here that we do some coverage as far as kind of previews for the season, and the Panthers are one of those teams that we think are everybody thinks they're way better than 6-10 suggests last year. So I think the talent level is there to beat the 49ers. I'm not rooting for that, but I think for San Francisco, it's one of those games that, as long as you're in it in the fourth quarter and you have a chance to win that game, that says a lot more about this team moving forward than what you were doing last year.
All right. So right now the Panthers are favored by 5.5. According to most casinos, and 48 over under. So what do you think there? Do you think what do you take? You take the over under 48? Shaked didn't even know that in the Google chat or in the YouTube chat. He put 31-17. So that is 48 on the money. He's pushing. You guys put up 17?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah! I think that's possible. If I'm thinking more than 17, I'm thinking probably 14 of those points. I'll say two touchdowns in the first half, and then maybe it gets a little stagnant after that.
All right. Okay. So would you take the Panthers to cover 5.5? You think the touchdown win or 2 field goals?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd take that. I think it'd have to come in the fourth quarter, but yeah, I think that would happen. I'd take that cover.
Pete's got a dinner date at 10 o'clock. So Pete, can you tell everybody other than NinersNoise.com, tell them how they can follow you on Twitter and the billions and billions of people you reach on Bleacher Report and 800 other websites. How do you do it?
So all you need to do, give me a follow at Peter Panacy. You'll see all the guys from the C3 podcast follow me. It's an easy way to find it. And then read the stuff over at NinerNoise.com, stuff over at Bleacher Report, 49ers Web Zone. And I don't know, just if you want something to do, go read through my tweets. It'll keep you entertained for about 30 seconds.
Nice. Thanks, Pete. We hope you have a great dinner out there.
Thank you.
We hope you're very sad on Sunday.
Thanks. All right, guys. Always a pleasure, and I'll be talking to you guys soon.
Take care, man.
All right, guys. That's Peter Panacy of NinersNoise.com. Thanks for joining us. That was great to get a little insight into the 49ers.
Yes.
He's a great guy.
One of our very first, yes.
Yes, going back to the original.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah, and he was the guy we brought on when there was the Colin Kaepernick greater than Cam Newton debate. You remember that, Tony?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Where is that sucker gone?
Thank you.
He took a knee on that one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Button that mess up. All right. All right, guys. This is what everybody's been waiting for. Before we get in, we've got a lot still to go. We got to do our picks in the NFC South. We got to do our ice up picks. But everybody here is waiting for the greatest segment introduced to the C3 podcast. That's Cat Calls. You can have your voice heard by calling 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Call 24/7. Leave a voicemail. We'll get you out there talking junk about the Falcons, talking junk about the 49ers, whoever you want to talk junk about. Here we go. We got some good calls tonight. Let's jump right into this segment.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yeah, boy. It's your boy Jay Cryer.
coming from Birmingham, England, in Panther Nation and C3 worldwide. Hope everyone's good. Reason for my call, just a couple of things tonight. First off, very disappointed that the Panthers let go of Joe Webb. Felt like between him and Derek Anderson, not only is he the better quarterback, he also adds that special teams value and brings an energy to the team that Derek Anderson just doesn't bring. And also plays a similar style to Cam, so doesn't require the team to completely change its style if Cam goes out of the game.
That's a good point.
Next thing was, I was under the impression when David Gettleman was let go of that the Panthers were looking more to install a win-now mentality. Well, this week they had the opportunity to go and get TJ Ward in a position that is very weak and lacks, a clear starter, because Mike Adams hasn't proven to me that he can fill that role. He's looked old and slow, and he's got no depth. So the perfect opportunity to go and get a player that would help them win as of today. On a season where, we've got a really good defense, he could be the missing piece between us going back to the Super Bowl. So I'm very disappointed that we didn't actively go after him harder. But I'm still interested to see what the two defensive backs that we did get off the waivers can do. So, I'll speak to you boys next week. And Panther Nation, keep pounding.
Yeah, boy. That's our boy Jay Cryer from across the pond.
Love that guy.
Look, I even got my dang London
Olympic mascot.
Yeah. That's my London mascot for this. But look, isn't it awesome? We've got fans. We've got friends. You know what? They're not fans. They're not fans of this show. They're friends. These people are my personal friends. They're not fans of our show. We have people that listen to our show in various parts, from Australia to the Middle East to the UK to Brazil. Jay Cryer is the OG of those people. And look, bringing a great call, and I agree 100% with all of it.
Well, I don't agree with everything he said, but I do love Jay Cryer, man. That dude he's fun when he comes on the show. We need to have him back on. So, Jay, if you're listening, you got to come on the show sometime, buddy.
Well, he's right about the TJ Ward. All right, here. This call came in while we were doing the show last week.
Comment. We need to move Daryl Worley to safety. We need to move Daryl Worley to safety, please. We have to let either Teddy Williams or find another defensive back that can cover. Worley has really been suspect back there. He's given up big plays. Please. Something's got to get.
All right. I didn't catch his name in all of it. I think it's a good call. I won't say that I'm ready to move him back to safety, but he has been suspect, and this has been a lot of my point, is that, look, I'm excited. I'm excited about a second-year player coming in, getting better. He had a good camp, all of these things. But look, we're putting all our eggs in our baskets, in one basket, and that is the James Bradbury, Daryl Worley show. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and that's a problem. Max Henson agreed with this, is that this defense goes as far as these corners take them. It would be nice to have some competition for Worley, some depth at the very minimum. I think we did go and make some moves to do that. But he is the one. He didn't have the greatest preseason.
No, but we do know that he looked good toward the end of last year, and we did hope to see a continuation of the progress. He has had some bad games, and, it is going to happen. We just don't want to see it become a trend. You're going to have those games where, you just have lapses in your responsibilities, whatever the case may have been. He did look bad, but when you harken back to the end of last season, we were really excited about the potential that he has. And I think we have reason to still be that way.
Slim J said, wasted that entire draft on corners. All right, here we go. And we wouldn't be, look, he was my second follower ever on Twitter. One of my best friends, P Nasty.
This is Panther Nasty with a quick thought. It's too early to call someone injury prone when they're just a rookie, but I do have my concerns on Curtis Samuel. I think he's a good. He looked like to be a dangerous weapon we have, but man, I hope he's able to stay on the field.
Curtis Samuel got nicked up in that 4th preseason game, just a little ankle, nothing major. And I think Panther Nasty was being like, we know that he isn't saying, like he said, is like, you're not going to say this about a rookie and some various things. But it goes back to me saying this is I don't know why he was really out there. I felt like we kept, and somebody is calling. Oh, you know what? Somebody's calling into the show right now.
Right on.
I wonder if I could just answer it.
Give it a try.
I'm going to decline it. Good for you guys calling into the show while we're doing it. But
Love it.
Going back to Curtis Samuel, as I don't think it was. Now I can understand him, limited reps, want to get some more, but you didn't have the right guy. I saw more guys in this preseason longer than, and we talked about this last week. Just too much time out there for guys that we knew were players, right? So, wait, hold on. We'll try it. I don't know if it's going to work. Somebody's calling in right now. Let's see if it works. You're on the air. Can you give us your name? Let me see. Hold on. Let me change. Oh, look, I got to put the speakers down different. Hold on.
Right now. Turn my volume down.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. You're on the air with the C3 podcast.
You're the first live caller in podcast history.
Hey, I was just thinking, what do you guys think about Colin Kaepernick? Wouldn't that have been a great upgrade over Derek Anderson?
All right, tell us your name first.
Yes. Chris.
Chris calling in asking, would Colin Kaepernick be an upgrade over Derek Anderson? Mel, take it.
And if the price is right, I believe he absolutely would be the right decision.
Well, I think it's a valid point and a valid thing to discuss. I do think he is a better quarterback than Derek Anderson. I don't think there's much of a question about that. I think the real question comes down to is, do you want everything that comes with Colin Kaepernick when the plan is that he would never play it down? I think the Panthers should look at Colin Kaepernick should Cam if he does go down, and then you're stuck with Anderson for the rest of the year, then I think you think about, hey, maybe everything that comes with Kaepernick is going to be worth it because he's going to win us games. But you bring him in now to sit on the bench, it's going to be nothing but a distraction, and it would not be worth it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I got nothing I want to do with Colin Kaepernick, but it's got nothing to do with the knee. Is that it's all got to do with that damn San Francisco playoff game where he comes in, scores a touchdown, and then does the button up to Cam.
Oh, yeah.
But wait a minute, though. I hear you, but that's a little bit of a double standard. How about your boy Julius Peppers showing up Cam with the football?
Well, Julius Peppers is a legend to me.
There you go. Right.
So, yes, double standard. Yes.
You're entitled.
Right. I mean, a lot of people are bringing this up. Would that be QB controversy, some things like that? I think it's unnecessary in our place because I really do feel like this. If Cam Newton goes down, just call it. Like, just tank and go for next year. But that's just me. I do think that maybe he gives you a better opportunity to win than Derek Anderson in a long-term capacity. And when I say long-term, for like 6 or 7 weeks.
Right. I think Anderson's good for a game, maybe 2 games, but not, if Cam Newton goes down in San Francisco, God forbid, right, then you got to think about it, because I know this is a very controversial topic and there's going to be people hating him no matter what you say on the topic. My opinion, agree or don't agree, is I agree with the sentiment. I agree with what the end goal he's trying to achieve, and I applaud him for using his platform that he was given to do it. But what I don't like,
problems with any of that.
He threw the baby out with the bathwater. He ruined his platform over the statement instead of finding a way to stay on his platform and use that platform to make the same statement.
That's an excellent point. I would like to make another excellent point. We just took our first live call.
Isn't that awesome? Heck
That
yeah,
is
buddy.
funny. Except for you're gonna hear the doot 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 doot
People light you
on
up
the
now.
recording.
Right on.
But the other thing too about Kaepernick, that his protest, like which I don't have any problem with any of it. Like I don't care what anybody does, as long as it doesn't affect me personally, my family. But I think where he has really fallen short is that he hasn't followed up and really explained himself that much.
Right. Yeah. He's
and
not
taken a more focused platform, you know? And I mean, I think all of that would benefit from him becoming an eloquent speaker on something and talking about real matters. I think that could all make his claims more legitimate, but like he kind of did it and now he's gone. So I don't know. All right, let's move on. Next cat call. We got a lot.
Hey, what's up, C3 Nation? It's your boy Mario and the Quay again. This cat call goes out to Falcons fans from last week. Listen up, you troll. You got the nerve to call us and talk trash about our team? Let's get something straight, you filthy, dirty bird. Your team blew the biggest lead in Super Bowl history. Period. End of story. Have fun living with that for the rest of your life.
Mario.
Your team had an organizational, systematic collapse all the way from Arthur Blank to Matty Ice, and it took just one quarter to do so. 28-3. Never forget. And speaking of Matty Ice, that's the weakest nickname ever. Know this. The best quarterback from Atlanta starts for the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh.
Your team is a disgrace to the NFC South. As a matter of fact, Mike Vick called the Super Bowl loss the worst thing to ever happen to the organization. Even he's embarrassed for you. Enjoy your brand spanking new bannerless stadium. Go ahead and tell the sound crew to ready the MP3 player for more fake crowd noise when the Panthers mop the floor with that weak defense while you sit helpless in the stands, not eating a Chick-fil-A sandwich, because everybody, even backwoods Atlantan rednecks, know Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays.
Mario is
all right, that's enough. I'm getting out. But know one thing. This is a call out for any opposing team fan who thinks they can run trash on this show. Do it, and you will get shut down. It's open season in 2017, and we are the Carolina Panthers, the kings of the NFC South. Peace.
He's got me pumped up, man. I love it.
Yeah, Mario came out there throwing made
haymakers.
Like looking like that dude looked like what's his name from I don't even remember his name now, the Irishman who couldn't fight.
Conor McGregor.
Looking like Conor McGregor out there, like, and he's just beating that ass.
That was awesome. If we gave away a call of the show, that would be the call of the show, right?
All right, here we go. We got to keep going. They're almost done.
What's up, C3 Podcast? This is your boy J-Dub. I was going to talk about the kickers, but I've done enough on that, so I'm going to talk about the quarterbacks. I think our current situation with DA as the backup and Kaya after that is not a bad thing, and then we also kept Gilbert on the practice squad. I just wanted to point out that Russell Shepard was a quarterback. Texas, Houston, 5A. He was the number one recruit coming out of the 2009 class at quarterback. He chose LSU over a few other schools like USC and Texas because he thought he had the best chance to win the job. He ended up not winning the job and was converted to wide receiver. And he could be used in emergency on a pinch in case we need it. If the Panthers brass don't know this, the shame on them. I just want to know what your opinion is on that, and I'll appreciate it. Love you guys. Keep pounding.
What a great fact there is that in the emergency reserve situation, it's these types of nuggets that allow you to do what the Panthers finally decided to do, and that is shit or get off the pot when it comes to Joe Webb, right? Just keep two quarterbacks, and if it comes down to that moment, you bring in a guy who can take a snap, maybe throw one pass or just hand the ball off. You have the ability to not just be stuck in a wildcat and make it to next week when you can bring a guy up from the practice squad and to take that role. I think this is a jewel of a comment right here.
I agree, man. I mean, I think it's well played out, well thought, well said.
Joe.
That's a nightmare scenario is all I have to say about that.
Let's pray we don't have to find out if he's right.
Nightmare scenario.
Yep.
Dude, if DA starts at QB, Slim says, dude, if Shepard starts at QB, tank the season. No, we're talking about a snap. We're just talking about one snap, right? Not like actual starting. But interesting nugget. And another thing that just makes you like Russell Shepard and the excitement he brings. Now, Mario. Mario, I hate this has to go to you.
Yes. Hi, this is Scotty Jurassic C3 Nation.
Oh,
what are you guys up to tonight? I just wanted to call and say thank you. Thank you so very much for cutting Joe Webb. I can sleep a little bit easier at night now knowing that the Falcons are going to just pound you guys into the dirt because we don't have to worry about that special teams anymore. So thank you for that. Good night, y'all, and keep pounding. See you soon.
Oh, what a troll, man. What
So, turns out that Mario knocked Scotty Jurassic out, but he got back up. And he stuck his tongue out like Conor McGregor did that fight.
This guy's unbelievable. I cannot.
What a troll. Jeez.
It's so awesome. Like, look, tonight is that we have had, like Shaqued said, 4 just powerhouse calls. I mean, this is, look, we had a guest. Look, the C3 podcast, we went to bare bones tonight. No intro music. Well, if you listen later, we'll have intro music. But we had guests. We've had guests like crazy the last couple of weeks. We've had a lot of fun. And I did want to argue about TJ Ward more because I do believe that homeboy could have made this like a stellar defense. Like talking about, think of 2013's defense with a strong safety that was better than Mike Mitchell. That's what I thought it could have been. We were talking 85 Bears defense then. I was so excited. It would have cost nothing. Absolutely nothing, guys. Here's the other thing, and I just want to leave. Well, actually, I'll save it for my sub pick. So let's just go ahead because that's going to be my sub pick. Guys, I do want to thank every single person. We had a fantastic audience tonight. Over 30 people watched the entire show, which is like, I mean, for 30 people to take an hour and 20 minutes out of their life on a Tuesday night and hang with these jokers right here means so much to us.
Yeah,
from all the people that called into the cat calls, from all the people that participated in the YouTube chat, we really, I mean, I cannot tell you how big of a smile that's all brings my face, because we worked hard on this, but really all we are just some jokers talking about football every Tuesday. And we love talking with you jokers about this. So you keep calling 252-228-5098. We keep playing it. We're going to keep pounding. We're going to keep talking about this. Don't worry. My computer's going to be back. We're going to have all the bells and whistles coming back. But until then, we just chop it up old school style. And if you want to continue to support this show like you have done all night tonight, you can do a couple of things. You can smash that like button. You can share this show with a friend on social media and tell them that this is where Panthers get down about Panther talk. Right. You can even consider going to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, clicking on the C3 podcast and donating to our Patreon link. $1 a month can help this show continue to build. That's it. A one-time donation of $1 can help a lot. And you can even help a ton by considering buying some of the sweet gear that we got on the C3 on CarolinaCatChronicles.com, from the Put It in the Bank t-shirt to the I Stand with Cam t-shirt to the Cam Wows. All of that can support us and continue to cut up on Tuesday nights. That's right. But now, guys, let's get to the OG cut up, the ice up picks.
We got to do predictions first, right?
Oh, that's right. We got to do our predictions, and I'm going to write them down. All right. We want to do this. Is that
Joe's gonna keep a tally this year.
Okay. So we're going to keep a running score of picks for the NFC South between the crew. So us three are going to pick the NFC South games. And we got the first NFC South game is Atlanta at Chicago. Who you got?
I got to say, as much as I'll be pulling for the Bears this weekend, I got to say I'd be shocked if Atlanta doesn't come out and win that game. So I'm taking Atlanta.
I'm taking Atlanta. Joe, you sweeping?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So everybody's sweeping for Atlanta. Next game. There's
only 3 NFC South games.
Tampa Bay at Miami.
They pushed that back to week 11. It's not official yet, but they're not playing this weekend.
All right, then my neutral site. Let's hope for that.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll put a pause.
So how about this? Let's pick it right now based on the idea that it will play.
Okay.
Just in case.
Go ahead, Joe. You take that one first.
I'm going Tampa Bay. I think they can beat Miami at home or wherever they play.
Yeah, I will take the Dolphins in this one.
All right, I'm going to go with Joe here. I'm just going to go safe and buy into the Tampa Bay hype for right now. And I shouldn't. You know what I've always said? I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. But I say the same thing for Miami. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So next we got Carolina at San Francisco. Sweep. Yeah. Carolina. Mel?
No, definitely Carolina.
All right. And what about the Saints? When do they play?
Monday night.
They play New Orleans. They're at Minnesota. I'm taking, you know what? I'm taking New Orleans on the road. Tony Dunn going NFC South sweep across the board.
I hear you. You like starting from behind in this contest, huh?
J-Dub picked Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Minnesota.
Yeah.
All right, who you guys got, Mel?
I got to go Minnesota here. I think that defense is going to be too much. Yep, at home.
Joe?
I'm doing the same. I'm thinking Minnesota at home, and they're going to rely on that defense.
All right. Okay.
So we'll review these next week. So we're going to review the picks from the week before and give the picks for the upcoming and keep a tally for
Slim
the year.
and I are together with the Saints, man. It's kind of weird, but, you know, AP going home.
Yeah.
Probably just like 200 yards. All right, let's get on to the ice up picks. Joe, what you got for us?
My ice up pick tonight is pretty simple. I'm icing up the NFL. Really, it seems that I could do that every week if I chose to. The reason I'm icing up the NFL is they made such a big deal over this Ezekiel Elliott thing. It's been such a media circus. People saying that, you know, everybody knew what the person that did the interview felt as far as not believing the testimony and thinking that there should be no suspension. However, she was never in any of the, I guess, hearings where Roger Goodell was involved, and you know, so it just was it was a circus. It was a media circus, and the NFL gets iced up because they did decide after all this to follow through with the suspension, 6 games. But he gets to play week 1.
Wow. Has that been determined yet?
Yes, I just saw it on ESPN, and he is playing in week 1, but he's suspended for 6 games.
Well, man, they should make him sit the first 6 so that we can have him in our fantasy league.
So stupid.
At the end.
So stupid. And now you see why I'm icing the NFL up.
Wow.
So, Roger Goodell, again, like I said, I could probably do this every week if I wanted to. Ice up, son.
You can ice up Ezekiel Elliott for just being like a complete optics fool through all of this. Now, he was under oath, so he did have to say some things that probably we didn't want to say, like I did drugs in college and things like that. But it's like he didn't come out looking like a good dude through all of this. He kind of looked like a jerk ass football player. So, All right, Mel, what you got?
All right. Well, hey, we touched on this at the beginning of the show, and it was just a real pet peeve of mine over the weekend. This has been a season an all season where we've gone. I think Gettleman put together a good roster. And I think there's a lot of promise for this coming year. Cam is healthy. The offensive line's looking great in the preseason. Julius Peppers is back. There's a lot of promise. Luke Kuechly's back and healthy. A lot of optimism, and I was riding the wave of optimism. And then all of a sudden, we cut Joe Webb, and we don't go pursue the 48th ranked safety from last year, which, you argue, okay, and you got valid points on why we could have and should have. But you're talking about the very bottom of a roster type of thing. Arguably, he could have competed to give us some depth. But because of those two moves, all of a sudden, over the weekend, I'm seeing Panther Nation. I'm seeing people jump ship. I've actually got people on Twitter saying, I'm through with the Panthers. I can't believe this. And mark my words, this was a quote on a tweet. Mark my words, letting go of Joe Webb is going to cost the Panthers to not make the playoffs. Mark it down here. It went on and on and on, and there was a hashtag Fire Hurney that was going on. So I put out a poll. Should the Panthers fire Hurney? And actually got Frank Garcia to retweet that and say the stupidest tweet ever. So I felt pretty good about that. But I wanted to make the point because I wrote an article about it, about how silly it is to be so pissed, to take the optimism and throw it out the door, and to be just negative Nancy, and to ruin the good feeling that you got going into week one over such stupid little things like they did. So I'm icing up a good part of Panther Nation here. I mean, you got to get back on, feel the juice, feel the excitement, and ice up, son.
You heard it. Mel Mayock's on the Hurney Hope squad.
Yes, sir.
The Hurney Hope tree.
Yes.
Dave, we were in Gettleman We Trust. He's in Hurney I Hope. My ice up goes to Mel and all of those people that say things like that. That's right.
Okay.
My ice up goes to Marty
Hurney. Can I do a
Hurney
rebuttal and ice you back up?
and Ron Rivera. This goes to Ron Rivera. A lot of this to Ron Rivera, just as much as to Hurney. First of all, I think I've been very fair when it comes to Hurney. I did not panic when Dave Gettleman. I mean, I was upset when Dave Gettleman was gone. I didn't think I think that Hurney has been a fall guy, a patsy for what was coming for the Carolina Panthers. And yes, did he have some draft mistakes? I think he did some really good things for the organization too. You got a Super Bowl run, an NFC championship appearance, a division playoff appearance. So you had some success under Hurney, and he did some things I thought were good. And he, you know what? Just like many GMs, when he had a quarterback that was worth a shit, his team was better, right? And when Jake Delhomme was worth a shit, the Carolina Panthers were better. Right. So I'm not a anti-Hurney guy. In fact, he comes in. I thought that I thought he did some solid things. I think the way he handled the TD thing was good. I think the way he handled Olsen was good. But here's what I do think is that I think that the Carolina Panthers blew an opportunity to get better. That is not disrupt locker room chemistry. These guys are pros. They're veterans. Now, the one argument that I have not talked a lot about and that I do think could be something that I just haven't thought about enough or given credit to, the Denver organization has been so complimentary of TJ Ward, from their coordinator to their just every single player in that locker room on the defensive side. The only thing is I wonder maybe Ron Rivera wasn't championing him, and this I would be okay with because TJ Ward is one of those dudes that went after Cam Newton's head. He went high. So if that's a thing that like Ron Rivera just says, you know what, I don't like this dude because of that moment, I'm better with it. But then what if he missed I'm worried that he could replace Mike Adams. He does that. So I think that we had some opportunities with Joe. I think what like the caller said is that, or what we talked about earlier is that like we thought that getting rid of Gettleman got rid of that attitude of just building for the long term. we've all been so excited about this team on this defense specifically with Peppers back. There are some things, though, that could be better, and the strong safety has been an issue for this team since Mike Minner. It's just that simple. So, look, are you talking about 1 year, $3.8 million? You take $900,000 off of that because that's how you're going to have to pay whatever backup at the very minimum. You're talking about a 1 year Pro Bowl, multiple Pro Bowler who is better pound for pound than Mike Adams.
But he's also the guy that missed more tackles than any other strong safety last year.
I would point out this, though. I do think it's easy to point this, is that I think, like everything, I think we should just be careful and looking at entirely at individual stats only created by Pro Football Focus. Not just that Pro Football Focus just gets dudes like us to watch film, and they grade a sample set of plays, and they grade them in a positive, negative, or moderate light. So there are some questions about that, about how effective and how true that is. But one thing I would like to point out is this, is that Denver took a step back as a team last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we give our team a lot of grace. And that's why I was trying to bring up Kurt Coleman, is that Kurt Coleman was a top 10 safety in 2015. I don't think you'd say that last year. But I don't think that that was Kurt Coleman playing worse. I think that he was in circumstances that didn't allow him. So I do think that that's what I'm talking about with that. So to the Panthers, I'm going to ice you guys up because these opportunities, what the hell, kick the tires on it. If he beats out Mike Adams for a starting job, so be it. If you're worried about that, these guys are going to be upset, tell them to shut the F up. They're pros. And if they don't like being on the bench, they can quit. So what I would say is this, is you're worried about TJ Ward and what kind of role he has, lie to him and then get him in the building. And if he isn't any good, make him run the bench. That's what I say. So Panthers, get better each and every week. Don't be complacent, because we tend to do that at some certain positions and we devalue strong safety. So to you, Panthers, ice up. I wanted TJ Ward. I really wanted Joe. I thought Joe Hayden would have been awesome too. I wanted both of those guys. All right. That's the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. What's up?
Thank God you're not the GM, Tony.
Why? We would have actually, for $10 million, gotten 2 starters for 1 year, and we would have had no long-term baggage. Maybe I should be the GM because Marty Hurney would have paid these guys for like 20 years.
So let's do this. You might be right, Tony, and this makes for an interesting conversation, but let's come back in 4 weeks, okay? Let's come back in 4 weeks, and let's break down how Hayden did for the Steelers and how Ward has done for the Bucks. You might be right.
I missed the next 3 weeks. So.
Well, okay. Well, then I'm already leading the argument then. So,
who, Hayden?
But you could be right.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But you
all
could
right,
be right.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's revisit this. Let's revisit it on the Tampa game.
Right.
I'm saying he's gonna be hurt. He always gets hurt.
Oh, okay. So you don't know. All right. Okay. So, all right. Well, I mean, those are all real possibilities. We'll see. That's a great point. Let's revisit that on the Tampa Bay show.
Perfect.
All right. Cool.
All right. That's the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. You can get on the action by calling the Cat Calls hotline, 252-228-5098. Mel, tell them how they can tweet you until next week.
Catch me anytime at Panthers Drafter on Twitter, and Draft Tech has a new mock draft coming out this Thursday, so check it out.
And the people in YouTube forgot to tell us that, or they didn't forget, they reminded us we didn't talk about having 2 kickers that much tonight. That should get a nice up to. Yeah. Joe, tell them how they can hit you up.
Guys, thanks for listening tonight. We really enjoyed all your comments. You guys are the best. You are the best. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Riolano.
And for those complaining, about us not talking about 2 kickers, they didn't call into the cat call line. That's what it's for. Call in and give your points. There you go.
We want to hear it. When Gano misses that kick, I want to hear that phone ringing off the hook.
That's right.
You can kiss my butt care goodbye. I'll see you next Tuesday night, guys.
That's too good.